through it, and I thought it was a good pitch, and Umont said, ball. And I said, Frank, come on, that thing was perfect. I never argue with umpires. Right, Bob? So as long as you didn't turn around an umpire, you could say whatever you wanted to him, or anything. So I got that off my chest and said, Frank, you blew that one. So I called a pitch, and I called a curve, and Adebayo threw a fastball. It went by me completely. It hit Frank Umont in a very special place. And it used to make noise then. It doesn't anymore. It used to go boing, and you could hear it. And he thought I did it on purpose, and I never, ever would do anything like that. And he chased me into the outfield. He didn't believe that I did not do that on purpose. But we had a beer later on, and we're good friends. But that's enough of the baseball thing. And I'm going to get through this very quickly now so you can all relax. If you have to go to the men's room, go. It's a lot better. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard of Cooperstown. And Bob Norton, I thought it was very poor taste, brought up that I had a temper. I've mellowed, haven't I, Alice? I've mellowed completely. My kids will attest to that. But if you, how many have been to Cooperstown? If you've been to Cooperstown, you will see a memorial, not a memorial, a record. Jocko talks about records. I've got a record that'll never be broken. And as you go in, it's in the northern section between the men's and ladies' room. It's a little glass case. And in there is a shower head, a bar of soap, and a towel. And it says under there, Phil Stackpole, Major League record, being ejected from games 16 times. And it shows the last shower and the last towel and the last bar of soap I used. Bob didn't mention this, and I really appreciate it, Bob, that you didn't. But I was, when I played basketball, I was noted for being what they used to call in 1950 hungry. It meant I liked to shoot the ball a lot. And the only guy I knew that shot more than me was Fred Parsley, who was probably a couple of years before me. But I didn't think I shot a lot, but Jim Sheehan, who I love, and he's passed on since, called me after the game one day and said, Phil, in 14 games, you were the only one that's been fouled in the act of shooting. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, figure it out. It means you're shooting a lot. And I said, well, no, I've been thinking about that, Coach. He said, well, what have you been thinking? I said, I think you should talk to the other guys. I think they're shooting from a little too far out. And they got to stop that. I was going to talk about a few other things with, like, Togo Palazzi, and it's funny, did I start to see a picture of Togo up here? Yeah. Togo and Ron Perry. Only the older guys remember this, but we used to do tours after basketball season, and 5 of us, Togo Palazzi, Ron Perry from Holy Cross, and John Nunziato and myself from BU, and a guy named Johnny Silk from BC. We go down and play in industrial tournaments from 12 in the afternoon till 12 at night for $50. And it would be single elimination tournament. Of course, we needed 5 balls to play those games with all of us. But Togo Palazzi, who played with the Celtics, was kind of a character. And we were coming home from one of these very late at night, and Ron Perry, his good friend, said, Togo, what would the headlines say if all of a sudden we went off the road and were killed in a car crash? And Togo said, well, the headlines would say, Togo Palazzi and 4 others killed in an auto accident. I also went to Brandeis. I like to talk about football. I get right into Coach Zeno. But Brandeis at one point wanted to become a power in the East, and they recruited heavily. And they had a coach named Benny Friedman, who was all-time All-American at Michigan. And he threw the ball when it was almost built like a grapefruit. It's very round. a lot of people here know that Brandeis did have football teams, but Benny Friedman was very well known. Friedman to Oosterbrand. You talk about Aganis to Oates, and you talk about these other things, but Friedman to Oosterbrand was a very well known name. Benny was extremely tough. Only on game days could we wear helmets. On practice and scrimmages during the week, we wore yarmulkes with chin straps, and that was. Apologies to my Jewish friends, but that's actually what happened. I'm on card number 12, and I'll bet you're damn happy about that. But I really want to get serious at that point and say that my fondest memories of playing football, and believe it or not, it shows a baseball picture up there, and it showed the best, but I loved to play football. That was my favorite sport. I loved to play football. And my fondest memories are my senior year in high school when we were introduced to a new coach, Coach Joseph Zeno. And I remember August 15th, 28 scruffy guys showed up for football. And that was a very small turnout. And I don't think it fazed Joe Zeno at all. I don't think it fazed. And Lance, if you're still out there, Lance, your granddad was just an incredible, nice person. He was, I played for coaches. I played for Eddie Popowski, who you've all heard of, Johnny Pesky, Benny Friedman, who I mentioned, but probably the finest, head and shoulders above all, was Joe Zeno. Joe was an innovator. Joe was a motivator. Joe instilled a spirit in kids. And as I say, we had 28 scruffy teenagers that he developed into an 8-1 football team that year. And we were scheduled, we played Arlington. The last game we were scheduled to go to the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans to play a high school team down there if we won. And we lost in the last minute 32-0. But practice that Monday was horrible. I'll never forget it. And I don't know if any of my teammates are here, but they'll remember too. But Joe was a gentleman. He never got excited. He never ridiculed anybody. And he had this incredible habit. He used to smoke cigarettes, and he'd stand in the shower and smoke a cigarette. And we didn't know how he'd keep it lit. And talk at the same time. It really amazed us all. But in those days, we'd throw 30 or 40 passes a game, and he had just such incredible knowledge of the football game. He was just a fine human being, and I loved Joe Zeno. My only regret was that I could only spend 1 year. As a senior, I had to go on, and I envied the kids that followed me. So I just want to say now that, and Lance, if you're still here, your granddad was one of the finest men and finest coaches I've ever known. In closing, I just want to say that I'm really thrilled to be up here, frankly. I'm thrilled to be elected to the Watertown High School Hall of Fame. But I want to make one thing clear. If I didn't have athletes on each team with me, it'd be very difficult to become outstanding in a mediocre type squad. And I had the horses beside me in every sport, football, basketball, and baseball. And I just want to say that I'm accepting this honor on their behalf because I think